Welcome to the Evans Legacy Financial Podcast, where real people have real conversations about money, mindset, and making moves. I'm your host, Jake Evans, and this show isn't about fluff or hype. It's about educating our community, sharing stories, and giving you the tools to make better decisions in business and in life. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, and today I'm sitting in front of George Mees. Now, George is a man from humble beginnings. He went from being a real estate agent in 1974, became a broker in 1980, shaping policy, owning a brokerage. We're going to explore the journey of a true real estate statesman. So, George, tell me something. What was your first year in real estate like?
Well, I was 23 years old. I had just graduated from Fresno State. I had obtained my sales license my last semester at Fresno State. I took the outside classes for the real estate license.
So tell me, I'm going to. So what was? Because I recently, a couple of 3 or 4 years ago, I took mine. What was that like? What was the licensing test and the licensing all about back then? Tell me about that.
That was, as of next month, will be 51 years ago. But
can you remember that?
I vaguely. I remember I signed up. I believe it was called Anthony Schools, and all through college, I knew I was going to be a realtor. My grandfather was a realtor over in the coast, the Tascadero area, for over 30 years, and he seemed to always have time for me. When I moved, I grew up over on the coast, and when I moved to Fresno to go to Fresno State, he made me promise that I'd never ask my parents for any money for school. He helped me all the way through it, and he was a great guy. And I had a job, but every month my $150 would show up from Grandpa. So it was funny because I had two other roommates, and we were one for all and all for one. If anyone had any money, we all had money.
And back in the 70s, $150. I got to be honest, it was a little bit of money. You know what I mean? It wasn't what it is today.
We had a great time. I look back fondly on my college years. But
so about I want to go back to the testing. Though. How was the test? Because we know what it's like today, but what was it like in the 70s when you did that?
First of all, everything was different. We had no computers. We had calculators. We had no cell phones. We had a landline. If you were going to work in an office, real estate office, a client had to call you through our central landline. That was kind of the beauty of floor time, because we would get a call on anybody in the office's listing, and so as a new agent, I took a lot of floor time just to try and pick up some of the floor calls, sign calls. We did a lot of things that are still being done today, door knocking, and we had a reverse directory where we would make phone calls to homeowners. And from what I recall, the test, was a paper test, and it went to probably somewhat similar as today. Department of Real Estate put it on.
How many questions were there back then? Do you even remember?
I don't remember.
51 years ago, I can't imagine you can remember that. So you spent your that first year, you were in college, you came out of college, you got your real estate license. So how many years? So you were about 6 years as a realtor, as a sales agent before you became a broker.
Yeah, right? When I graduated, I walked or drove down Shaw Avenue, went from real estate office to real estate office. Shaw was the edge of town then.
Right.
And interviewed several brokers and ended up going with a company called Red Carpet Realtors, which I don't believe is in existence today.
No, not today.
But it was a fun office to work in. But I worked there, I think, 4 years, and a friend in another office, acquaintance that I had met, told me I should interview his broker, and this gentleman, his name was Les Reed, was my mentor for years. Incredible man. He past president of the Fresno Association of Realtors. He ran a tough office. It was his way or the highway. But I learned so much from him, and we were just close friends until he passed away a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
And
okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
I went to work with Les around 1979, and in 1980, he declared that everyone in the office had to have their broker's license. It was weird. He demanded it. Like I said, it was he ran a tough office, but he wanted everyone to have a broker's license, and it's not something I would have thought about doing at that time. But the pressure was on.
Well, so that was my next question: is what motivated you to become a broker, and how did you know it was the right time? So you didn't have a choice whether it was the right time or not.
If I wanted
you just
to work
did it.
there, I had to do it.
Okay. And it's not like today where you had a choice. Back then it was like, hey, do it or go.
He wanted to be able to say that every person in his office had a broker's license.
So, I'm going to go back to that first year in real estate, and you brought something to me earlier. I'm going to kind of explain what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's a ledger. Okay, he brought me this ledger, and it's old, it's tattered. It's probably 51 years old,
exactly,
at least. And tell me about that book. Tell me what it looks like.
I started for some reason. I'm glad I did. Looking back now, writing down every property that I sold, and I would put the address of the property, the last name of the clients, the date, and how much commission that I received. Which you can see, my first 6 months in real estate, I made $1,049.
That's 6 months.
Yeah. By the way, my share of the rent was $50 a month back then.
True.
And when I graduated from college, I had a 1965 Chevrolet Malibu, no air conditioning, black Anaga hide upholstery, and once again, my grandfather said, you can't sell real estate in this car.
But you know what? The nice thing is, people aren't going to do that even in a restored one of those today, because but gas prices back then were what, like 40 cents a gallon or something like that.
But because of the heat and I was happy to have it. I believe he sent me $2,500, and I bought a nice used car that had AC. And back then we took people around in our cars. Mm-hmm. We had the information. No one else had it. We had the new listings. We had all the information. There's no computers, no online searches. So we really, at that time, you pretty much, if you wanted to see everything that's on the market, you had to contact a realtor.
Right.
Which it's the importance today of having a realtor is still accessing the homes, but people already they go through and eliminate their list of homes that they want to see. They may see the number of homes we show is, for the most part, a lot less than it was at one time.
Right. So I'm guessing, I'm going back to the book here. So is it safe to assume you are still using this same book? You've added pages to it?
I've had to add pages to it. They're all taped in, and you're right, it is very tattered. But
it's beautiful. That's all I can say, people. If you could see it, just picture an old tattered ledger that's like the old lined ledgers of yesteryear.
Yeah.
It's like, it's amazing.
I don't know.
And you're still using it today.
Weird, yeah.
So you talked a little bit about it, but what's changed? What's the one main point that you can give me that's what's changed most about real estate since the real estate game since you started?
Well, obviously technology. Mm-hmm. I mean, when the office got our first fax machine, it was like huge, and it was this cylinder that would start spinning, and all of a sudden it would spit out a piece of heat-sensitive paper, poor quality.
Which was sold in rolls back then. You didn't have sheets of paper,
right,
rolls.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And technology-related items that have changed, cell phones. I remember these two realtors. They were twin brothers, and motivational speakers from Florida, and when the first one got his cell phone, the other one was jealous, and so he went and got his cell phone, and he called his brother, and his brother said, "Hey, hang on, my other cell phone's ringing." And so you have to one-up each other. But I remember the first cell phone I had was like a big walkie-talkie.
Mm-hmm. I remember my first cell phone. Yeah. They were huge, and they had bag phone. I had a bag phone.
Oh, that's even bigger. Yeah,
I had one of those bag phones you stuck in the car, and it was like,
right.
but you were important. You were talking on it. Yeah. So, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about leadership and being a realtor, your involvement in the Fresno Association of Realtors, what this Realtor of the Year and Golden Army, the power of real estate advocacy and protecting property rights. So what drew you to get involved with the association leadership early on?
Well, my broker, Les, at the time, he served as president of the association, and he encouraged me to get involved. And it's something that I feel that I've spent quite a few years with involvement of the association. I was served really every position, leadership position that our association has, from community outreach chairman, education chairman, the Tuesday morning lineup speakers, MLS. Chair. I served as chairman of our Fresno MLS twice, once in 2005 and once in 2019. They recycled me. And I had the honor of being president of the association in 2010. Okay. And served as a CAR director for
and that's the California Association of
Realtors.
Realtors,
Yeah, California Association of Realtors, as a state director for many years. And after saying all that, I got a lot more out of it than I put in. I can tell you that. It's really interesting to see how our association advocates for home ownership. I mean, who else is there out there that is fighting for home ownership rights?
Right. And you're last year you were, because I went through it. I went through the Leadership Academy,
right? And
you were the chair along with Yvette.
I was co-chair. Yeah,
you were co-chair with Yvette on that. And I will say that it was a powerful program. I learned so much in that just that year, in just a couple of hours or 3 or 4 hours a month that we spent. And you just mentioned something about political advocacy. So how does political advocacy shape the future of real estate?
Well, there's legislators up in Sacramento that come up with all kinds of crazy ideas. Mm-hmm. A lot of times they're looking at taking away some homeownership rights, such as rent control, limiting the ability of a landlord to get fair market rent, mm-hmm. and luckily, we haven't had too much of an issue in Fresno. I mean, to a certain extent, we do have some, mainly with multi-family units, but in other parts of the state, it's pretty heavy-handed. And so we have lobbyists. The California Association of Realtors have lobbyists that bring this to attention to our legislators, saying, "Hey, this is not good law. This is
really..." And I'm going to interrupt you really quick and apologize, but I sat because I went to Ledge Day up in Sacramento last year, and we sat at lunch with all of these legislators and these congressmen
up and down the Central Valley,
and down the Central Valley, and we as the advocates, our lobbyists, were able to stand and say, "Hey, we're showing up in numbers to try to get A, B, C, or D, either pro or con to it." And I think I saw it really made a difference.
When 2,000 realtors show up for Ledge Day in Sacramento and meet with our legislators, they hear us, they see us, they hear us, and
power of voice.
Yeah, it's funny. They have a list of certain potential laws, legislation that we either support or oppose. And if it's something we oppose, usually sometimes before the meetings even begin, those bills are killed because they go, no, we don't want to do this.
We don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to, so you were really involved in leadership and all that. What moment in your leadership journey are you most proud of? And we talked about this off mic a little while ago. Go ahead and share that with me.
Well, a few years ago, I was inducted to the Fresno Association Realtors Hall of Fame, and I believe there's 6 of us that have that designation, and that's over the last 50 years.
That's a big deal.
Longtime powerhouse realtor Helen Smades was, I think, one of the first to be inducted. Great person, Sandy Darling, who was also had played a huge part in my career as a supporter. Ken Neufeld, another person that has just donated so much of his time to the association, and not only on a state but national level and local level, of course. John Shamshoyan, another really person standing tall in our real estate community. Don Scordino, our buddy.
Our radio guy.
Yeah. And so very proud of that. But
and you rattle these names off because they're, you know what? I was just having a conversation with my son on the way in this morning. It says, we remember things that are important.
Yeah.
We remember names and faces and dates and times and things like that. Like we were driving away from the house this morning, and I sat there and watched him close the garage door and come out. And as we were driving away, I said, "Did you close the garage door?" And I realized that whether the garage door closed or not was not really that important of a point in my day. So it's not something I remember. Yeah. But these kind of things, these are the things that we choose to remember. Yeah. And that's awesome. I love that you remember that.
Jake, you had mentioned the Leadership Academy, and I'm really enjoying playing a part in that. I only wish there was something like that when I went into real estate. That and the YPN, 2 things, that really help a realtor get grounded and get started in their business. And I remember a slap on the back and go get them. But anyway, yeah.
So I'm glad you bring up this point, because that's my next question: is why should more agents get involved in local and state associations? And I'm going to answer part of that is because since I've been, and I'm not a young guy. And since I've been a realtor, and I carry that name proudly, Realtor, I've gotten involved. I've gone to some. They went to the Leadership Academy. I've gone to some of the YPN events. I try to become. I'm at the home tour, MLS home tour every Tuesday morning. I'm gonna tell you a story about that. When I first walked into the MLS, and my first week of being a realtor. They were doing the backpack drive, and there was all this commotion going on, and they were stuffing backpack. I heard all this commotion going on, and I thought, I'm not going in there, because when I open the door and I'm this new guy, everybody's going to turn around and go, who's the new guy? And I didn't want that, So I left.
No kidding.
The next week I came in and I walked through the back door, and here's something I'm going to tell people, and I'll let you finish it, but this point. But I walked in, and guys like Dave Kidder and yourself and a few others welcomed me with open arms, shook my hand, asked me who I was, who I was with, how I was doing, and I just felt at home. And I sat in a chair, and I've been sitting there ever since, every single Tuesday. Yeah. So the importance of getting involved is community. But share your point on that. Why should more agents get involved?
Well, one of the first things I would say is it helps you become aware of what our issues are, what's going on in the business. Our business changed drastically last August 17th, and there's people, agents that choose not to really pay attention, open their emails, things like that, and by being involved in leadership, I feel like you keep your thumb on the pulse of what's going on.
I think that's really important. On my website, I have one page dedicated to that, and I send it out because it's like, whether you're buying or selling or investing or doing whatever you're doing, or not, it's always good to keep your finger on the pulse of the market to see what's going on for that day when it changes for good or for better or for worse.
And I feel like I kind of owe it to my clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's awesome. You know what? And I want to talk a little bit about your real estate investment, broker ownership, your transition into owning a brokerage, working with investors, your lessons learned from real estate investments, building a legacy. And that's what, my Evans Legacy Financial, that's why I brought you on, building a legacy business in Fresno and Clovis. What were some of your first experiences with real estate investing?
Well, I bought my first home, I believe I was around 28 years old, so in the business for 5 years or so. And opportunity came up, and I had to put $1,500 down, and
you hear that, folks? $1,500 down. But
yeah.
back then, that was
the sales price was $28,500.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to stop you right there. So I see this little green book sitting in front of you, and we didn't talk about that, but I wanted to bring it in. It says here a comprehensive mortgage payment table. If we open that up, it goes. Tell me about what you showed me earlier.
Yeah. So this is what we used to calculate a monthly payment back then. And we didn't have computers. We did have calculators. And so we'd use our calculator, and, you could get a number that, depending on the length of the loan, and apply it per $1,000 and be able to calculate a payment.
So tell me something, and this is why I brought it up. What's the first percentage point in that book?
The lowest percentage in this book is 7%.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. Yeah. So right now everybody's griping about 7% being, oh my God, But think about that. What do you say, $28,500, $1,500 down, at 7%.
Yeah, and the highest went to 18%, which we reached in the early 80s, and it worked out great. I still, my roommates from college, I bought the first house, and one of my roommates sold him a house, and then the other one, and we'd all three moved to these different houses until we started getting married. And
picked off. I like that. Yeah. I've never heard it put that way. That's awesome.
Yeah. And this was our Bible back then. We used it all the time. And
so, go ahead.
Oh, well, I had purchased some rental properties in the late 70s. And we went into the late 70s, early 80s, and as in the early 80s, 82, 83, rates really started climbing. And I was married then, and somehow my wife ended up pregnant, and she wasn't working, and I wasn't selling much, and I had these rental properties and a home out on 2.5 acres out in the country that we really loved, and so I actually spun off a couple of the rentals trying to protect that home because, like I said, I wasn't selling hardly anything.
Right.
And so anyway, I had that and eventually I faced the music. We sold the house. Luckily, we were able to sell the house in the country, bought a smaller home in Fresno, thought, oh, this is horrible. Turned out great, actually. We had great neighbors. We ended up 5 years later buying a brand new home that we're still in today.
Wow.
And so I have a couple rentals that I've hung on to. Free and clear, and so between rental income and Social Security, I'll be 74 next month.
Okay.
And
so, the question I have now is, how has being an investor influenced the way you do business or the way you serve your clients?
Yeah. Well, you like to look at a property as if maybe you would be buying it yourself, and try to protect your client the best you can as far as if you see something that's a red flag, you need to talk about it.
Okay.
And I've worked with quite a few investors over the years too, and helped them build portfolios.
What is, and this is a big one for me, and I'd like to know the answer to this one myself. What's the biggest mistake you see new investors make?
Well, as my grandfather used to say, try to be debt free. And the mistake I made as an investor in the late 70s, I was using leverage, mm-hmm. So if things can and will turn around, I've seen it happen. Hope it doesn't, but you want to make sure that you have a positive cash flow.
Positive cash flow. That's interesting. So if someone's considering becoming a broker owner, what should they know going in?
Yeah.
Don't let someone push you into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, my mentor eventually decided that he no longer wanted to do any management of the office, manage people. We all had our broker's license. He cut everyone loose, sold his office building that he owned, and moved his office to his home. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. And I went to work for another another agent that had been in the office, and we rented a small little office together, and just kind of did our own thing. And then eventually, I thought, I'm going to move my office home just like Les, and Les was still getting calls into his 80s, and wow. and then at that point he started referring everybody to me, but he probably from his age 75 on, he started referring all his buyers and sellers to me, which was wonderful, and so I'm not the typical broker. I just work on my own. I don't have salespeople.
Just kind of taking it easy. You're semi-retired, but you still love what you do.
When people call me, I answer the phone,
right.
And so I'm not out there prospecting, anything like that. Which, this is all the things you should be doing.
Well, no, and that's something. That's something. That's going to be. I'll get to that in just a minute. So we've talked about your beginning. We've talked about you really are true, and I have to say this. Coming from where I stand, you are really a true real estate statesman. You know the business. You're Hall of Fame, all of that. Your career growth. Leadership impact. The wisdom you have as an investor. I'm looking at this book in front of me, and I'm going. I'm seeing there is organization, is organizing everything. Even back in the 70s when you didn't have computers, this is your computer.
Yeah.
This is what you knew. So you just did it.
Yeah, I just did it.
Yep. So, I want to ask you one last thing before we go, because we're winding this down. Share one piece of timeless advice for real estate professionals at any stage. One key point that you'd like to get out to people.
Well, I would be happy to share something that Sandy Darling had shared with me, and it is that you want to be an agent that other agents are going to want to work with again after a transaction closes. So, we want to represent our clients to the best of our ability, but it doesn't have to be an adversarial relationship. Mm-hmm. It should be try as hard as we can to make it a win-win. And when that escrow closes, I always feel like I would love for that agent to feel like they would want to work with me again. So because we're going to see each other again.
Yeah.
And so if I show their listing and I make an offer on it, I hope they would look at our offer in a very favorable light.
And you know what? I hear that even when I started, I was working with RE/MAX. I hope I can say that. I don't know. Shoot me later. I was working with RE/MAX and my team lead. We were going over some offers that we had on a property that I had listed, and they were going, "Yep, I know them. No, I don't know them. Oh, the last transaction we did wasn't the greatest, so we're gonna look at it. But we ended up going with, highest and best is usually what we talk about, but highest and best isn't necessarily always the highest, the one we choose, because it's going to be, what kind of transaction am I going to have? How is this going to close? How quickly can it close? Is this realtor know what they're doing? Are they friendly? Are they going to treat my client and me correctly? So I think that's kind of what.
Yeah. Is the property going to appraise? I mean,
Right.
if it's ridiculous,
Right.
It doesn't mean much.
Right. Well, George, man, this has been a wealth of knowledge just for me. If nobody listens, I got a ton out of it today.
Well, I've enjoyed it too, Jay.
You know what? I really want to say thank you. And you've, from leadership and the Leadership Academy and the time that we spent doing that, I do say I really do appreciate you. I'm grateful for you being a part of the business and for you paving a way. I see these memes now that are saying if you're over 55 and you should give up your license, let the young people have it. I'm going to tell you the reason why is because of people if people did that, we wouldn't have people like you who've actually paved the road that we get to walk on in the real estate business. So George, thank you very much. I really do appreciate you coming in today. Any final word?
Well, I have to say we have those days in this business, but overall it's been really a great career.
All right. George, thank you again. You have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning into the Evans Legacy Financial Podcast. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more real conversations that move the needle in life and business. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and never stop chasing what matters.